The door to the master bedroom slammed so hard the walls shook. Amara pressed herself against the hallway corner, her cleaning rag clutched tight in trembling hands. Through the crack in the door, she could see Madame Victoria pacing back and forth, phone pressed to her ear, voice dripping with venom she never used around Mr. Chukwuemeka. "I said I'm tired of waiting," Victoria hissed into the phone. 3 months married to that old fool, and I'm still playing the loving wife. When do we move? Amara's breath caught in her throat. Her heart hammered against her ribcage as she slowly backed away, bare feet, silent on the marble floor. She shouldn't have heard that. She shouldn't have been there at all. But now she knew. And knowing could get her killed. Amara Okafor had been invisible her entire life. Born in a village in Enugu State, she lost her mother to childbirth complications when she was only 7. Her father, a struggling palm wine tapper, died 2 years later from a snake bite he couldn't afford to treat. With no relatives willing to take her in, Amara lived with different families, working for food and a mat to sleep on. By 15, she had scrubbed more floors than she could count, eaten more leftover meals than fresh ones, and learned the most important lesson of survival: stay quiet, stay invisible, cause no trouble. At 19, a placement agency brought her to Lagos. The city terrified her with its noise, its speed, its indifference to the poor who lined its streets. But the Chukwuemeka mansion in Banana Island offered something she'd never had: stability. Mr. Chukwuemeka Obi was a 62-year-old widower, owner of Obi Industries, one of West Africa's largest manufacturing companies. His late wife had died 3 years earlier from cancer. Everyone said he'd loved her deeply and would never remarry. Everyone was wrong. When Victoria Adeleke walked into his life 6 months ago at a charity gala, something shifted. She was 38, beautiful, educated, sophisticated, everything his late wife had been, but younger, more vibrant. Within weeks they were dating. Within 3 months they were married in a ceremony that made the cover of every society magazine. Amara had served drinks at that wedding, watched the guests toast to love and happiness, seen Mr. Chukwuemeka smile for the first time in years. She'd been happy for him. He'd always been kind to her, never raised his voice, always said thank you when she served his meals. But something about Madame Victoria made her skin crawl. The way Victoria's smile disappeared the moment Mr. Chukwuemeka left the room. The way she spoke to the staff like they were insects beneath her shoe. The way she locked herself in the bedroom for hours on phone calls she never explained. And now this. Now Amara knew the truth. Amara didn't sleep that night. She lay on her thin mattress in the cramped servants' quarters behind the main house, staring at the ceiling, replaying Victoria's words over and over. When do we move? Move where? Move how? And who was on the other end of that phone? By morning, she'd made her decision. It was foolish, dangerous, possibly the worst choice she could make. But staying silent felt like being an accomplice to whatever evil was brewing. She waited until Mr. Chukwuemeka was alone in his study, going through documents with reading glasses perched on his nose. Victoria had gone out for what she called spa time with the girls. Amara knocked softly. "Come in." His voice was gentle, distracted. She entered, hands clasped in front of her uniform, head slightly bowed. "Sir, I'm sorry to disturb you." He looked up, surprised. In 2 years of working there, Amara had never sought him out directly. "Is everything all right, Amara?" "Sir, Her voice failed her. How could she say this? How could she accuse his new wife of plotting something terrible? She was just a maid, a poor orphan girl with no education, no family, no proof. He removed his glasses, giving her his full attention. What is it? The concern in his voice broke something in her. Sir, please be careful with Madame Victoria. I think she's planning something bad. I heard her on the phone yesterday. She was talking to someone about making a move, about you. And, sir, the way she spoke, tears burned her eyes. I'm sorry, sir. I know I shouldn't say this. I know it's not my place, but I couldn't keep quiet. You've been good to me. I don't want anything bad to happen to you. The silence that followed felt like drowning. Mr. Chukwuemeka's face hardened into something she'd never seen before, cold, distant, offended. You're accusing my wife? Sir, You're accusing the woman I married based on what? Eavesdropping on a private conversation you probably misunderstood. His voice rose. Do you know how serious this is? Do you understand what you're suggesting? Sir, please. Enough, he cut her off. I'm disappointed in you, Amara. I thought you were different from the others, but I see now you're just jealous like the rest. You can't stand to see me happy again. No, sir, that's not. Leave my study, now, before I decide to fire you altogether. Amara stumbled backward, vision blurred with tears. She turned and fled, his words chasing her down the hallway like knives. She'd tried, she'd warned him, and he'd called her jealous. Victoria came home 3 hours later, designer bags in hand, smile radiant. Amara was in the kitchen preparing dinner when she heard Victoria's heels clicking across the marble foyer. Darling, I'm home, Victoria called out sweetly. Amara kept her head down, chopping vegetables with shaking hands. When Victoria entered the kitchen, her perfume filled the room, expensive, suffocating. Where's my husband? Victoria asked the head cook. In his study, madam, the older woman replied. Victoria's gaze slid to Amara, lingered for a moment too long. Something flickered in her eyes, suspicion, calculation. Then she smiled and left. That night, Amara heard raised voices from the master bedroom. She was passing by with fresh towels when Victoria's voice rang out sharp and wounded. She said, what about me? Amara froze. He'd told her. Mr. Chukwuemeka had told Victoria about the warning. It's nothing, my dear. His voice was apologetic. The girl misunderstood something. I've handled it. Misunderstood? Victoria's voice broke convincingly. That girl accused me of plotting against you. How is that a misunderstanding? She's trying to poison you against me, can't you see? She's probably been stealing from us and wants to cause chaos to cover her tracks. Victoria, please. No. Amika, I won't have this. Either she goes or I do. I will not live in a house where a housemaid can make up lies about me and face no consequences. The silence stretched. Amara pressed her back against the wall, towels clutched to her chest. I'll let her go tomorrow, Mr. Chukwuemeka finally said, voice heavy with resignation. Amara's world tilted. Tomorrow. She had until tomorrow. She retreated to her room, mind racing. She'd lost her job for trying to help, but worse than that, she'd played right into Victoria's hands. Now there would be no one watching, no one suspicious, no one in the way. Whatever Victoria was planning would happen, and no one would be there to warn him again. Amara didn't pack her things. Instead, she waited until 2 a.m. when the house was silent, except for the hum of generators and distant security guard footsteps. She slipped out of her room and made her way to the main house. If she was going to be fired anyway, she might as well find proof. Something concrete Mr. Chukwuemeka couldn't dismiss. The master bedroom was on the 2nd floor. Amara's heart thundered as she climbed the stairs, each step a small eternity. She knew where Victoria kept her phone when she showered, on the dresser, usually unlocked while charging. The bedroom door was slightly ajar. Amara peeked inside. The lights were off, but moonlight streamed through the curtains. She could hear Mr. Chukwuemeka's deep breathing from the bed, Victoria's lighter rhythm beside him. The phone sat on the dresser, screen glowing softly. Amara crept forward, every nerve screaming at her to run. She reached the dresser, hands trembling as she picked up the phone. Unlocked, thank God. She scrolled through messages, squinting in the dim light. Most were innocuous. Friends, shopping confirmations, salon appointments. But then she found a thread with no name, just a phone number. Her blood ran cold as she read. "The papers are ready. Once he signs them tomorrow, the company transfers to my name. After that, we execute the final plan." "What about the staff? Anyone suspicious?" came the reply. "One maid was getting too nosy, but I've handled it. She'll be gone by morning. After that, we're clear." "Good. Remember, it has to look natural. No questions, no investigations. The medication switch needs to happen during his evening routine. I know, trust me, by next week I'll be a grieving widow with everything he owns." Amara's hands shook so violently she almost dropped the phone. Medication switch. Grieving widow. They were going to kill him. A hand clamped over her mouth from behind. "Looking for something?" Victoria's voice was ice in her ear. Amara's scream died in her throat as Victoria spun her around, phone snatched from her hand. In the moonlight, Victoria's face was twisted with rage. "I knew you'd try something," Victoria hissed. "Couldn't just take your dismissal and leave quietly, could you?" The bedroom light snapped on. Mr. Chukwuemeka sat up in bed, confused and alarmed. "What's going on?" "I caught her stealing," Victoria said smoothly, her face transforming into wounded betrayal. "I came to get water and found her going through my phone, probably looking for bank information." "That's not true." Amara's voice broke free, desperate. "Sir, please, look at her messages. She's planning to kill you, she and someone else. They're switching your medication. They're going to—" "Enough!" Mr. Chukwuemeka's voice boomed. "This has gone too far. I've been patient, Amara, but breaking into our bedroom in the middle of the night, making wild accusations? Sir, please, just look at the phone." "I'm calling security," he said, reaching for his phone. "No!" Amara lunged forward, grabbed Victoria's phone from her hand, and threw it toward Mr. Chukwuemeka. "Read it, please. She's going to kill you." The phone landed on the bed. For a moment, everyone froze. Mr. Chukwuemeka looked at the phone, looked at Amara's tear-streaked, desperate face, looked at Victoria, who had gone very, very still. He picked up the phone. "Darling, don't," Victoria said softly. "That girl is disturbed. You don't know what she might have put on there." But he was already reading, scrolling. His face drained of colour with each line. The silence was absolute. When he finally looked up, his eyes found Victoria with a hardness that made even her step back. "Who is he? I don't know what—" "Who is he?" The roar echoed through the mansion. Victoria's mask cracked, her beautiful face twisted into something ugly and cold. "Does it matter? You're a dying old man anyway, Amika. I just sped up the inevitable." The cruelty in her voice made Amara's stomach turn. Mr. Chukwuemeka stared at the woman he'd married, loved, trusted. "Get out of my house." "With pleasure," Victoria smiled, vicious now that pretense was gone. "But you'll never prove anything. Those messages, I'll say they were fake. That little maid probably created them herself. Who will they believe? A respected businesswoman or an orphan nobody with no education?" She grabbed a robe, walked toward the door with her head high. At the threshold, she paused, looked back at Amara with pure hatred. "You should have minded your business, girl. You'll regret this." Then she was gone. Police came at dawn. Mr. Chukwuemeka's lawyers arrived by 8 a.m. Forensic analysts examined his medications and found 3 bottles had been tampered with, slow-acting poisons disguised as his heart medication. The phone number in Victoria's messages led to her boyfriend, a man named Tunde, who'd convinced her to marry a wealthy, older man for his money. They'd planned it for over a year: romance, marriage, document manipulation, and finally, murder, disguised as natural causes. Victoria was arrested at the airport trying to flee to Dubai. Tunde was found in a hotel room in Abuja with forged transfer documents that would have given Victoria control of Mr. Chukwuemeka's entire fortune. Through it all, Amara stood in the mansion's hallway, packed bag at her feet, waiting for the security who would escort her out. She'd saved his life, but she was still just a maid, still invisible, still disposable. Mr. Chukwuemeka found her there 3 hours later. "Why are you standing here?" he asked quietly. "You said I was fired, sir," she replied, eyes downcast. "I'm waiting to be told to leave." He was silent for a long moment. When she finally looked up, she saw something she'd never seen before in the employer's eyes: genuine shame. "I'm sorry," he said, and his voice cracked. "You tried to warn me. You risked everything to save my life, and I called you jealous. I almost got myself killed because I couldn't believe a poor orphan girl might see what I was too blind to see." Tears spilled down Amara's cheeks. "I just didn't want anything bad to happen to you, sir. You were always kind to me." "Kind?" He shook his head bitterly. "Kindness is saying thank you when someone serves you food. What you did, risking your job, your safety, coming back even after I rejected your warning, that's courage, that's loyalty, that's worth more than all the money in my accounts." He held out an envelope. "This is for you. University admission to any school you choose, all expenses paid, accommodation, stipend, everything. You're too intelligent to spend your life scrubbing floors." Amara stared at the envelope like it might disappear. "Sir, I can't." "You can, and you will." His voice was firm but gentle. "You saved my life, Amara. Let me help you build yours." 3 months later, Amara stood in front of the University of Lagos, admission letter clutched in her hand, a small scholarship apartment waiting for her. Mr. Chukwuemeka had kept his word. But as she walked toward her new life, her phone buzzed. An unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her press accept. "Hello." Heavy breathing on the other end. Then a voice she recognized. Victoria's, but different now, hardened by jail walls and rage. "You think you've won?" Victoria whispered. "You think this is over?" Amara's blood turned to ice. "I'm out on bail," Victoria continued, voice dripping venom. "Tunde made a deal. We're cooperating with investigations, giving them bigger fish. And when I walk free, little orphan girl, I'm coming for you. You took everything from me. I'm going to take everything from you." The line went dead. Amara stood frozen on the university campus, students bustling past her, sunshine bright overhead, the envelope of her new life suddenly feeling fragile as paper. She'd saved Mr. Chukwuemeka. She'd done the right thing, but in doing so she'd made an enemy who had nothing left to lose. And somewhere in Lagos, Victoria smiled in a holding cell, already planning her revenge. The warning had changed everything, but the story was far from over. Thanks for watching to the end of this story. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel for more stories like this. See you in the next one.